This is the ICP one-year overview reading for the year of 2025. It's currently February 19th, 2024, 7:08 p.m. Eastern Time. ICP at the time of this reading currently $14.62 USD. And the shuffle video for the ICP 2025 reading was created on February 2nd, 2024 at 2:41 p.m. Eastern Time. That's this video here in the lower left corner. So the overall theme and behavior for ICP, which is Internet Computer Protocol, in the year 2025 is erratic behavior back and forth through the same price level. So it should be pretty wild. In the midst of that erratic behavior through the same price level, we should at least once revisit a crest that was a past opportunity. And it'll be an important price level that we're going back and forth through on like a scale of at least a one-year chart, probably a multi-year chart. Also, in the midst of this erratic behavior, there should be at least one fast sudden move higher that really stands out on a one-year chart. Behavior around the highest high, we have sideways rotation along the highest high, or near the highest high. Behavior around the lowest low, we have bumping along resistance sideways near the low. Now, if you've never seen one of these 1 years, guys, it's important to understand each cluster of 4 cards going left to right across the screen represents 1 month out of the year. You can see they're labeled above and they're labeled below. Those 2 cards in the middle of each cluster going left to right represent about 2 weeks of time. Now, the timing is usually right on point, but there will be some cases where a reading you need to give it plus or minus 2 weeks of wiggle room at some point. And the reason being is that not each card's energy necessarily will line up perfectly with 2 weeks of time. So it does happen occasionally. When that does happen, make sure to follow the sequence of events as outlined by the prediction, because that will keep you on track. Now, before we go any further, I just want to make sure that everybody's aware. The whole purpose of the channel is to transmute some of the competitive energy of the stock market into goodwill. We do that by following the rule of karma for the channel. You go to the resources tab of our website, Tarot for Traders, and 5% of the profits from every profitable trade utilizing this information should be donated forward to one of these charities, or pick a charity of your choosing as long as you're paying 5% forward, and then 5% should be sent back to the channel through one of these links. If you're international, you can use Wise or you can use YouTube tips, and that leaves you at 90%. Make sure to spend that 90% out of love. As long as you follow those rules, you follow the rule of karma for the channel, the universe considers you an angel investor. It's going to send it back to you tenfold for following through. Blessings to all my angel investors. Let's get back into it. Okay, so here in January, we have we start out with a prominent low on a one-year chart. That's that low, the January early low. It's probably also a lowest low thus far for a significant amount of time for ICP in 2025. Now, there's a peak. It's almost as though there's a peak that we sell off from. Yeah, so we come in 2024, we have this big move to the upside right at the end of the year. So we create some sort of new peak, new local high, or maybe even a higher high. But from that peak, we sell off pretty notably. The peak forms when we break through resistance. We stay above it briefly, break back down through it, taking us into a low and a lowest low on a one-year chart scale thus far, and a low for the month of January. That low offers an opportunity to open up a long position, which I'll talk about in a lot more detail in the paid version. We have a failed attempt to break through key resistance near the January high, which my sense is that it's probably also in the early January, the January high. We have this failed attempt to break through resistance and this decline through key support off of the high. Hard to say what that price level is, but by the end of January, we're rallying out of a significant trough, lowest low thus far, along a diagonal trend line. We break through horizontal resistance, meet a second resistance before pulling back to somewhere between those 2 price levels. And in early February, we have an important technical price level highlighted on a multi-year scale. There's also a highest high correlation here for the February high, which appears to be in the later part of February. We won't end the month at a high. We'll have like a rally into it and then a bit of a decline off of it at the very end of the month. I'm advised to be cautious near the February low, multiple false bottoms, some sort of tricky chart behavior. Looks like the February low is probably right on the cusp of February, March, and it'll be in a period of sideways rotation with a sharp drop that stands out in that period of sideways rotation. Usually we revisit a support level that was recently a past opportunity when we see the Queen of Discs. But off of the February high, we should have a pretty notable decline into the trough on the cusp. There's a fast sudden move higher in early March. Also a trade opportunity in early January, trade opportunity around the low of February. We're going to talk about all that in the paid version. There's a notable reversal in early March. A fast sudden move higher out of a trough. We come to a resistance level where we flatten out momentarily at a March high, and we rally into mid-March, right? And then we decline in the later part of March, pretty notably on a one-year chart. There's a sideways fluctuating rally that precedes a decline into the March low. So we see a sideways fluctuating rally in the earlier part of March and decline in the later part of March, taking us into an important trough on a one-year chart scale. I don't think it'll be a lowest low thus far, but it'll be an important trough. And we should have another fast sudden move higher on a one-year chart scale out of that. We're also we might be revisiting the low that we saw in January. We might be revisiting here in March. And the reason why I say that is because we got the orange correlation here and here, and they're both very similar cards as well. So it might be that we're revisiting a bottom or a trough. But there's a notable trade opportunity in the later part of March and a trade opportunity near the low, which is probably in the later part of March. Now, we have a lot of volatility around the cusp of March and into early April, and a fast sudden move higher ending that volatility, taking us into an important price level and possibly another highest high thus far. It's probably higher than the high of February. We have a high here in April and a lot of price change to and from that resistance level where we create the high in April. In the later part of April, we have a pop and drop. The low for April, we have a rally out of the low that offers an opportunity to open up a short position, indicating that we'll see that low again, or possibly lower in the not too distant future, I should say. Hard to say if the high for April is in the early part or the late part of April. Sorry, guys. Now in May, we have a period of sideways rotation in early May that establishing support and then a big move higher, followed by more sideways rotation at a higher price level. The May high forms when we have a prominent peak on a one-year chart that we sell off from pretty notably. The decline continues into June through multiple support levels into an important bottom here in June. Around the 3rd week of May, though, there is a pretty notable move to the upside that'll stand out in the midst of that decline. The decline continues after that notable move higher in the 3rd week of May, or like at the end of the 3rd week of May. It might even be like a breakout on a multi-day scale, but it's not going to last. We continue lower here. There's that orange correlation again, so it'll either be the same low as the lowest lows, or it'll be a lower one. And it looks like a decline continues into the later part of June where we meet that trough. Ace of Discs price level, usually a lot of price change near the Ace of Discs, and this is a good cash out opportunity that I'll talk about in more detail in the paid version. version. The June high forms when out of a decline, there's a big move to the upside, probably in the later part. And the June low forms when a near overbought crest we sell off from through multiple support levels into the low. So there's a lot of price change from that trough in June. In the early part of July, there's a lot of price change. It continues out of the trough in June into early July. There's 3 pokes near the same resistance level for the July high and a sharp drop off of that third poke, which is probably in the later part of July or like on the cusp of July, August, where we have a halting of a bullish trend marked by a sharp decline through key support. And the July low forms when we have a decline to and through support to meet another support, and then we rotate sideways along that support for a bit. We probably see a highest high, like it's probably the same high that we've seen, but we likely revisit it here. It might not be the same high, but there's an important, it's either the same high or highest high thus far in July near the July low, and then again in early August where we attempt to establish support. So it's like the high for July, August, it's like kind of towards the middle part of July and then early part of August, and it's that sideways 3 crisscrosses back and forth through the same price level as the virtue card indicates. So it's kind of like throughout the cusp, starting in late July, ending in early August, and we successfully turn resistance into support there in early August. So that might be a new high. It's hard to say. A U-shaped dip in the later part of August, and we're bound by the lower end of a range at the August low. Before we go any further, let's take a look at ICP 2024 reading and see how we're doing thus far. We have an important resistance level right in the early part of January. A lot of price change to and from that resistance back and forth. You can make money in both directions. That's a princess of swords. The low forms after a near overbought peak that we sell off from pretty notably. So near overbought peak, we sell off from through multiple supports, taking us into a trough at the end of the month where I'm advised to be cautious. There's a significant decline off of the high. You can see how that took place. And then we get into kind of like sideways fluidity in the early part of February, which is like this equal amounts of bulls and bear inflow and outflow. There's a highest high there. Ooh, be very careful here, guys. There's a highest high here, and it's like a revisiting. So we might be revisiting the high right now. Like this right here might be the February high because it's revisiting of a previous support level with a period of sideways rotation and a sharp drop in that period of sideways rotation. So we could be doing side of this sort of looks like the beginning of sideways rotation, and then that should turn quickly into a decline through multiple support levels, taking us to the bottom end of a range here in February at February's low towards the later part of February. But this looks pretty solid thus far, guys. This really looks pretty solid thus far. I just want to point out to everybody how you can get a 1-year reading. We're running roughly a 98% average accuracy. You go to our website, tarotfortraders.com, hover over our services, click on SO Meta Posts. Guys, so what you get with the paid version, basically you get the timing of the best trades that we see, and also the type of chart behavior to look for as far as entry and exit into those trades. We look at any cross-reading congruencies that may be apparent there or present there in the reading as well, because those will help to give us an idea of where we are in the greater chart kind of scale. We talk about trades from a multi-year standpoint as well, and it's super valuable information, guys. Our 2023 readings, for the most part, we ran roughly a 98% average accuracy, predicting highs and lows to the week. So with that said, these are super underpriced. You won't find this information anywhere else. You go to our services, SO Meta Posts, scroll down to 1-year report, click here to order, specify the year you're interested in, and then put the crypto or ticker symbol. If it's crypto, please specify crypto. Add to cart. Really great way to support the channel. Much appreciation to everybody that does that. Again, you won't find this information anywhere else, my friends. With that said, let's get back into it. All right, so that U-shaped dip in late August takes us into an important resistance level that's highlighted in the earlier part of September at a highest high, either highest high, like the same highest high that we've had previously, or it's a higher one here. The Princess of Swords indicates a lot of price change back and forth to and from that resistance level, and there's the unicursal hexagram off of that resistance level. It's a resistance level we failed to break through many times before, so that's what makes me think that these highs are probably the same high. But in any case, we sell off pretty sharply into lowest lows, either the same lows or a lower one here in the later part of September, where we attempt to establish support, and out of the low there's a breakout. Matter of fact, it looks like that low probably is on the cusp of September, October, or actually in October, but either way the decline ends with a fast sudden move higher and a breakout on like a 1-year chart scale, taking us to an overbought crest or peak mid-month of August. We're advised not to chase the rally into that peak. It's going to turn around and we decline through multiple support levels in the later part of October. The October trough or the October low forms with some sideways rotation on a 1-year chart scale. Decline in late October continues into early November, where we revisit an important support level on a multi-year scale. We revisit it here in early November with this decline, and I'm advised to be cautious around the November low because there's an intentional fake out shakeout of some kind. So my sense is that we probably go slightly lower than the low of September. We probably go slightly lower here in November to scare people out before we have a turnaround, and there's a big move to the upside out of that low in the later part of November after establishing support with sideways rotation. Big move higher into another high at the end of November or on the cusp of November, December, where we do sideways rotation into a high in December, and in the early part of December we sell off through multiple support levels. The low forms after a failed attempt to break through key resistance on a 1-year chart scale, followed by a decline through key support, and the later part of December is a decline to and through support, meet another support, bounce along that sideways, and then break down through multiple supports. Sneak preview for 2026, a period of sideways rotation that ends with a fast sudden move higher. We probably have an important low on a multi-year scale there as well in 2026. We're going to talk about that in the paid version in just a moment. That's ICP for 2025. Thank you so much for supporting the channel and watching. Thank you. All those of you that subscribe really helps out the channel, and if you've already subscribed, please share this with somebody you think it'll help. That also helps the channel. But most importantly, guys, make sure to follow that rule of karma. All the angel investors following that rule of karma and myself have a Discord channel that we talk on all the time. It's free, only for angel investors, people repeatedly following through on the rule of karma. Blessings to all my angel investors. Love you guys. I'll see you on the next one. Stay tuned if you got the paid version.